What's up guys, if you couldn't already tell, today's video is going to be on the 4th Gen 4Runner washer tank reservoir relocation kit. And before we jump onto the installation of this kit, we are quickly going to go over a few reasons why you might want to buy this in the first place. So there are two main reasons on why you might want to relocate it. The first has to do with having a high clearance bumper. As you may already know, when you add a high clearance bumper, you are completely exposing your factory washer fluid reservoir. And not only is it an eyesore on the front of the car, but you're also exposing your reservoir to damage from things such as rocks, sticks, and the like. So it is actually the next day I realized that I completely forgot to film the second part of the video explaining why you might want to relocate your washer reservoir. But the second reason, of course, has to do with tire fitment. Now there are two factors when it comes to how much your tire might rub on the washer reservoir, and that has to do with one, your tire size, and number two, your wheel offset. I think the tire size is the more obvious one because as you increase the tire size, you're going to begin to rub on both the body and also the factory washer reservoir. But the second one that sometimes people don't realize has an effect on this is the wheel offset. A large amount of offset will cause the wheel and tire to poke out from the body, and in doing so, this is going to increase your scrub radius. And the scrub radius is basically the arc that the wheel goes through when you are turning. As your scrub radius gets worse, this is going to cause the wheel to swing outwards more and into your factory washer reservoir. So if you guys are running a wheel with a lot of offset and also wheel spacers, you could potentially even be rubbing on the factory washer reservoir on 33s, but other guys with maybe a factory offset might notice that they're barely rubbing when they're on 35s. So it really just depends on your setup. Now, of course, before we jump into the actual installation, I'm going to show you guys the product itself. So this is a Snowbound Customs washer fluid reservoir relocation tank, and I'll have the link for this down in the description below in case you're interested in purchasing one. Now, I will say that yes, these tanks are really pricey because these are custom laser cut and bent from 5052 aluminum. They have a custom billet 6062 aluminum cap, and also it takes a lot of work to weld these tanks together and get them looking perfect. A nice thing about having an aluminum tank such as this one is that it's not going to get brittle and break over the years like a plastic reservoir might. And for those of you that are looking for the highest quality washer reservoir relocation on the market, this is absolutely the product for you. So this right here is the cap that we use. Like I said, this is made from 6062 billet aluminum, and what we did with this cap is we have a very small pinhole in the top of it. I don't know if you can see that, and at the bottom we have our vent, and this allows air to vent outside of the tank, so as you are using water from it, it is replacing it with air and not creating a vacuum. Now with that all said, we are going to jump into the installation so you guys can see how to install it for yourself. So the reservoir itself sits just behind the passenger side headlight right in here, and you are going to need some specialty tools when it comes to installation. For one, you need one of these rivet nut tools. You can get these on Amazon for pretty cheap. I'll link one down in the description in case you guys are looking to getting one. And the other thing is a drill, because we're going to need to drill some holes to install our nutserts. So you will be provided with this nut and the nutsert, and these are going to install right over here. When the tank is in place, they're going to go right about here. So we're going to drill 2 holes for those and then use the rivet nut gun to install these. Now, before we begin installing the new tank, we are first going to remove the old tank. We're going to remove the washer filler neck right here, and then just basic tools to remove the actual tank down here. Now, this is Aaron's 4Runner right here, and as you can see with the high clearance bumper, the factory reservoir and the pump right here is completely exposed. So that's one of the reasons on why we would want to replace this in the first place. So right now we're going to begin uninstalling the tank, and you'll notice that there are bolts all around it. So we're just going to remove those, and we're going to keep the factory pump and the gasket for that. So remember not to get rid of that. And also you may want to get a bucket out for when we empty this out and pull off the pump, because all that fluid is going to leak onto the ground. So we just got the factory reservoir out, and you may have to unplug some wires up here. There's a plug right here and some hoses that you may want to take off, and then you can dump all the fluid out into a bucket if you have that on hand. So now that we have the tank out, Aaron is over here and he's taking the pump out, and it can be kind of a little bit of a pain to work with.
Keep pulling it.
So yeah, just keep pulling it until it pops out, and it should eventually come out. And then once you have it out like that, we're gonna also reuse the factory gasket right here. So make sure you keep that and also the pump. There are 2 pumps on 4Runners, so once you get the first one out, you can take off the plastic cover on the washer reservoir and then pop out the second, just like that. So on our new reservoir, as you can see, the pumps are on this side of it, which is going to be on the side of your factory air box. Now to get the factory pumps to reach this area, you are going to have to disconnect the wires and the tubing down here, and once you have that, you're going to move it up into this area so we can get it into the new reservoir box. So these are the gaskets for the factory reservoirs, and once you have them off of the old pumps, simply put them into place on the new reservoir and pop them in, and then after that we can get our pumps and put those in as well. Before we install the reservoir, we're going to get down to this 12mm bolt down here with an extension and pop that out, and we're actually going to reuse that bolt when it comes to installing our new one. So after you take out the 12mm bolt down here, you can reinstall it with the tank, and we're just going to temporarily set this in position for now, and once we have it in the position that we want it to be, we're going to take a Sharpie, mark a hole where we will be drilling, and then we're going to be installing a nutsert in the hole we drilled. Now you can install it with either 1 or 2 nutserts depending on what you want, although it should be plenty sturdy if you only use 1. So on this vehicle, I believe we're only going to install 1 of them here, but you can also install another one on the other side. So once you've marked where the hole needs to be, you can take a drill bit or a punch, something along the lines of that, mark the location where you want it to be with a hammer, so that way you can kind of get the hole started, and then we're just going to use one of these drill bits and slowly drill out the hole until the nutsert fits into place. Okay, that's perfect size. So we just finished drilling the hole over here, and it ended up being a 7/16 inch hole for the nutsert to fit in there perfectly. So go ahead and drill that out to a 7/16. So this is our nutsert installation tool, and we're gonna go ahead and open it up all the way, and we're going to screw the nutsert onto it. And once we have that, we're gonna come over to where our hole is and get it set up for installation. And then once we squeeze this, it's going to permanently install the nutsert where it needs to go. Just like that, and it should be installed. So now that we have the nutsert in place, we're going to take our tank and quickly position it, and we have our M8 bolt that's included with the kit, and we're just going to quickly ensure that it does indeed thread in and that everything lines up properly. So now that we have the nutsert installed, we can go ahead and reinstall the pumps onto our new tank. And remember to connect any clips that you have previously taken off, and then we'll go ahead and get this installed onto the car. Now before we install the tank, remember that you are going to want to take all the factory wires and go ahead and bring that up into the engine bay, so that way they'll be able to reach the pump. And what is especially important is this plug right here, and also we have the tubes that we are bringing back, so that way we can reattach those onto the new reservoir. Okay, so we just finished up the install. I'm going to do a quick walk around for you guys. So as you can see, we used a single bolt to hold it in place with the nutsert. You could install another one on that side if you wanted to, but already as it is, it's like really firmly in place. It's not going anywhere. And as you can see, we reinstalled the bolt down there at the bottom. And also for those of you guys with aftermarket headlights, such as this vehicle, yes, there still is room between the headlight bulb and the tank. So that is the old reservoir that we have down there. And the old reservoir was located under here in the wheel well area, and as you can see, this is all the new room that we had made for ourselves. And there used to be a bunch of wires here. We cleaned all that up. That is now inside the engine bay, so it's not exposed to the elements, and overall this was a really clean install. Anyways, that is all we have for today, so let me know what you guys think down in the comments below, and of course, thanks again for watching.